This one was a very important question. Nothing controversial, but we are all dying to know. VI or Emacs? And Heath says Nano. He's the GOAT. Nano for the win. People of the internet, one of my favorite creators and cybersecurity personnel, Heath Adams, the cyber mentor, did an AMA on LinkedIn. He has about 170,000 followers, and he decided to give back by answering every question everyone asks. Yeah, he put the post up 10 hours ago. 269 comments so far, and he has answered most of them. I think he'll be answering them tomorrow as well, but that doesn't matter if this comes out 5 days later, right? What you want to know is what the people asked and what did he say to answer those questions, right? I obviously asked the question. It's got 6 likes to my surprise. Apparently I asked very good questions. Let's look at the question I asked, and then we'll look at a bunch of other questions that people asked as well. He says, I'm dedicating tomorrow to giving back. If you have a question you'd like my input on, please feel free to drop it below. And I dropped my question, right? I said, at what point can one be considered qualified, in quotes, to make a course for TCM or in general without being called a grifter? If your content is of high enough quality, does it matter how many years of experience you have? I asked this question because I've seen a video by one of my other favorite creators, Life Overflow, talking about how he always has imposter syndrome for making courses, etc. How he doesn't know how to price it if he did make a course, and just the thought that he doesn't have enough knowledge to be qualified to make a course. So I asked this, and the cyber mentor says, great question, right? I think having work experience gives you a lot of credit. I had about 1.5 to 2 years when I released the PH, but everyone varies, right? We never look at backgrounds as much as we do technical knowledge. Our content creator interviews can be pretty tough, and this is now specific to TCM and their courses, because anyone can make a course for TCM. You just have to present them with the idea, go through the interview, and if they accept it, you get to make your course through TCM, right? And he finished off by saying, I'd say if you have good quality content and technical knowledge, I don't really care how long you worked in the field. Everyone is different. What takes you a year to learn may take me 2 years and vice versa. And that's the answer he gave me. So if you have a course you want to build it and sell, go ahead, make it real nice, make sure the technical content is on point, and it can be potentially delivered via TCM. So that is the question I asked. I have a bunch of other questions I liked. There's 269 comments. We can't go through everything, but let's go through some other questions that I liked and found useful, right? First of all, this guy says, thank you, yada, yada, yada. Sure, right? And then his question is, what's the best way to break into the field full-time in general? Because I can't get an interview or anything. Even for help desk, I kind of have been feeling discouraged lately. And then, where's the answer? Bro, where's the answer? Where did the answer go? Okay, I cannot find the answer for this one. Let's move on. Okay, what was your biggest roadblock when creating your first learning course to offer from your website, right? And Heath says, I felt like we were different enough. People and time. This was the answer he gave. People and time. When I announced the idea, I got a lot of people telling me, why make this, right? They were already hacking courses. They didn't see the gaps that I saw, but it could have easily made me quit. Hell, even Udemy told me it was a saturated market when I started using their platform. LOL. A lot of that was just believing in myself and my vision. Time was another aspect. I'm so much better at creating content now because I have thousands of hours into it. Back then I didn't. 25 hours of content took hundreds of hours of researching, recording, editing, recording, re-recording, etc. I did not expect it to take that long, and I don't think people realize the amount of work it goes into making a course. That's what he said, right? That was his biggest roadblock when he first made his course. And then there was a follow-up question that says, how did you come up with the pricing? And then he said he truthfully could have charged $500 and he thinks he could have sold. But there's another question similar to this where he talks about wanting to make training affordable so that some people can make it, at least in the field, because some people come from harsh backgrounds. You might be poor or, just less fortunate, right, than others. And if you make it in the field, it's life-changing potentially. So he wants to help as many people, cross that line where they can make life-changing money. Some of these salaries are crazy. People make upwards of $250,000. Imagine coming from a poor parent. I'm an immigrant. Imagine, you come from a poor country, you're an immigrant, and you land a job that makes $250,000 a year because of someone that sold you a course for $30. That's his goal, and I think that is pretty noble, and I respect him for that. Right, next question. This is the question we just looked at. What's LinkedIn doing? Okay, Hind Nawal, I'm not gonna say people's names actually, says, can I make a good career in GRC? Could you suggest some tips as far as I'm from non-IT field, right? And Heath gives an answer. What are the answers, right? Where are the answers going? Two replies. Where are the replies? You know what? Let's just open the entire thread. Just read through some of the stuff I liked. I'm pretty sure I'll notice the questions I liked. Can you see me? Can you see this? Hopefully, I don't want any ads showing on the side here. What are your top reads? I like this one. What are your top reads? What motivated you to open your own consulting company? What suggestions or advice you would give to any similar startups for do's and don'ts, right? And these are his top reads. Hustle harder, hustle smarter, 12 months to 1 million. They ask you answer. He suggested this book a couple of times, so you might want to pick it up if you are in this startup scene, right? And he said, I started the consulting because people were coming to where I was working and asking for me specifically. I was getting no referral bonuses or anything for it. And then that's when the light bulb went off for me to do my own thing. And he says, do for people in a similar space with like startups. Focus on people first. Your customers and your employees are more important than your product, right? And he says, don't be afraid to accept criticism and feedback. You'll make a ton of mistakes, and each of them is a learning experience. Do's and don'ts for people starting their own thing. Another question that I liked, what's the best way to break into the field full time? Okay, I already did this one. Actually, no, I didn't. Heath responded and says, thank you. With all the certs, something tells me you need your resume looked at. So this person has a bunch of certifications. Oh, damn. OSCP, CEH, Security Plus, Net Plus, CISA Plus, PJPT, PE, and PT. Probably CEH Master. Damn. And they aren't even getting callbacks? Yep, they need their resume looked at for sure. Right. Biggest roadblock, I think we read this one. Yep. We read that one. Biggest roadblock. What else? Here we go. Now we found it. Can I make a good career in GRC? Could you suggest some tips, right? And he says GRC is a great field if you find the work enjoyable. He'd recommend Gerald Auger, PhD, who is another creator who focuses on GRC content. Check him out. Tyler H says, when are you going to post an advanced pen testing cert that focuses on topics like EDR, C2 development, or exploit development? I've wondered this for a long time. And Heath finally answered the question for us who want to know this question, and he says, our mission right now is to work backwards before we move forwards. We fully intend to make an advanced PNPT likely in the next 12 months. And he kind of touched on that in this answer as well, where someone says, do you have plans on releasing a rating course? And he says, we're still in our work backwards phase, which means they want to work on helping the juniors break into the field, and then once they have that market, once those people have broken into the field, they're gonna want to upskill, right? So that's when they'll start focusing on like the more mid-level and more senior type of courses, the more demanding stuff, basically. And that's, I guess, their goal, and it's pretty cool. This person, Sam Thompson, I said I wasn't going to say names, but I keep saying names. But Sam Thompson said, your training platform has become hugely successful. What advice would you give someone who is in the early stages of building a similar non-competing training platform? And then Heath says, research different LMS providers. This would be learning management systems, I think, and really figure out the pros and cons. We have a love-hate relationship with Teachable. I've heard a lot of bad things about Teachable, but I guess it works for TCM. And then he says, as far as for success, if you build a good product, people will buy it. If you build a good product, people will buy it. Let that stick in your mind if you want to build a product. Right? I should remind myself of this, because at some point I will have a product, and maybe I'll become a millionaire and just disappear off the face of the planet and enjoy my money. But we'll see if God has similar plans. But he says, give some product out for free in exchange for feedback, because feedback is invaluable. Take it and improve. And I think I read this in the Millionaire Weekend or something like that, where you want feedback as soon as possible. Once you have an idea, do not complete an MVP before you actually get feedback from at least 3 people. And the best way to get feedback from people is to ask them about it and get them to make that initial payment before the product is even available. Right? If you have a course, try sell it before it's even there. Then you'll know if it's something people want or not. You know what I mean? So feedback is invaluable. Okay, more questions. What type of problems do you believe are important right now in cybersecurity and aren't solved yet, at least not properly? Bonus, how can a small startup enter the scene without large VCs or prior exits, given the current state of the cybersecurity market? And I love this question because, hey, who doesn't want to, build a startup and get acquired or get a bunch of venture capitalists on board and, make money? But he says the fields that he thinks people can still hop in. People, training, right? Passwords, and MFA could be improved. I think we'll eventually go passwordless. We're not quite there yet. I think educating the general public more about cybersecurity and threat actors is important as well. The problem is attackers get smarter as the general public does. The gift card scam industry is a $2 billion industry. Damn. It seems simple to someone in cyber, but how do we help the everyday person from avoiding scams like this? Lots of problems we need to scale to. Bonus, right? Depends on what you're doing. If you're consulting, start local and build a reputation. What is going to make you different? Is it pricing, quality of work, etc.? How are you going to target an audience? Is it through SEO? This takes forever, right? Ads, this is expensive. Or organically. This is why local may be better options. So if you're going to start your own consulting company, start looking for firms locally that need or that might require your services. If we're talking tech, how much time do you have? Can you quietly build your product in that time frame? People often take funding due to space races, right? If you have an idea and someone else has the idea but takes funding, you'll very likely be second to market, and that's not a good place to be. If you have an idea, build quickly, get feedback quickly, build the MVP, get more feedback, and go to market before you even have the best product out there. I think one thing I've learned from all these entrepreneurs and all that is the fact that you want to get to market as quickly as possible with an MVP that has feedback, and then get more feedback and then move on from there, right? Like Heath says, if someone with money beats you to market, it's tough. But TLDR, there are times to definitely take funding, and there are times when bootstrapping is okay. This one was a very important question. Nothing controversial, but we are all dying to know. VI or Emacs? And he says Nano. He's the GOAT. Nano for the win. More stuff about startups. I kind of like this startup stuff, honestly. He says, what advice would you give someone looking to start up their own cybersecurity business? I work in IR and threat hunting. I considered freelancing my skill set on Fiverr and even getting into bug bounty web testing as a side gig. Thoughts on that as well? I have a company made already and feel like it's a good name I've bagged. I'm fairly confident in setting up a site with WordPress, and I have a few AI SEO and content generation tools to utilize for branding and marketing. My concern would be getting my name out there and getting clients. That's quite the gray area. That's kind of the gray area I'm in as well with my newsletter. SEO stuff, marketing stuff, that's boring, it's difficult. I just want to hack, but apparently this stuff has to be done by someone, and I don't have venture capitalists backing me, so I have to bootstrap and learn these things for myself. And that's why I kind of like the fact that Heath answered all these questions, because now I'm getting, free advice from the cyber mentor himself, a multi-millionaire, someone with a successful cybersecurity firm. Anyways, it sounds like you've done a lot of legwork. You will need to be able to have a differentiator. What makes you different? Why should I use your services, right? Just have a unique selling point, I guess. Also, what clients will you be targeting? Will you have a niche? You're going to have to sell yourself and your company until you build enough reputation to where you don't have to. Selling yourself is hard, man. Marketing is hard. Why do we have to do this? Can I not just be a hacker and people will come to me? I guess life is tough. But anyways, for SEO, I recommend reading They Ask You Answer, that book he mentioned earlier. And then it says lastly, stay away from Fiverr. You're going to work for pennies if you want to compete. And then bug bounty can be a time sink for very little reward, which I think is the case, honestly. I tried it for the past 3 months, for the first 3 months of this year, and I did learn a lot technically, but hey, yeah, time sink for sure. I just focus on the business and being as successful there as possible. Good answers. I think we'll go through a couple more questions and then call it a night, because this has been 20 minutes already. This is some racing stuff that he has. What else? What is motivation source? And he says, okay, this person asks, what is your motivation source? Is it money, giving back, technically improve more? Is it persistence? And he says, I have a few. I grew up poor and never want me or my family to experience what I went through. So money is one, giving back is another. A big part of our mission is to ensure people aren't priced out of an education. Again, to help people from poor backgrounds who don't have the same privileges as others succeed in a field that can be life-changing. Money, right? He wants to help people from a less fortunate background potentially make life-changing money where they can provide for themselves, their families. If someone like me who doesn't have my own family yet, we can set ourselves up, for the future like that. And I think that is pretty noble, and that is what we are going to close with. Shout out to the Cyber Mentor. Peace.